kind of the state of your position group, what you've seen so far?
Really excited about our group. We've got a very talented room. Adding Rivaldo to that room, kind of the expectations have kind of risen. From the passing game to the run game, we're very involved in everything that we do offensively. But we're, so far with the 4 practices that we've had so far, we're operating at a high level. Now we still got to clean up some technical stuff, techniques and things of that nature, but really excited about the room that we have right now.
Your overall impression of how your guys are picking things up so far?
They're very smart players, and that's what we have to do here is whenever we recruit tight ends for our offense, they've got to be very headsy players. They've got to understand concepts and how we do things, but they've picked it up very well. It was a little bit of we had to get back into the swing of things after spring break, but as practice went on, they're picking everything up very well right now, from the 11 personnel stuff to the 12 personnel stuff that we do, and when we start adding the bigger packages, I think we'll be fine.
Coach, Rivaldo's relatively new to football for someone who's playing at this level.
Yep.
What are sort of the benefits and what are sort of the challenges of coaching someone who's still full of potential but is still new to the sport?
So I think the benefit of it is that the ceiling is still high. He, like you said, he was a huge basketball player at BA down there in Florida, and he didn't start really playing football till his junior year. Athletically gifted athlete, can run. I think that's the ceiling is still high. The thing that comes with that is the blocking schemes, the footwork, all that comes to that, the techniques of it. We still got to get crisp in the things that we do. But man, he's been impressive out there.
What do you think he brings to the offense?
He brings the stretch in the field aspect of it. He is running by folks out there, and to see that, he's going to be a mismatch problem. In the passing game, he's got really good hands. He caught a dig route over the middle yesterday, and it was to have a big body like that come across the middle. It helps our quarterbacks trust, that we've got big bodies running across that'll make those catches. And even in the run game, he's a little bit over 250 weight-wise, and that helps in the run game, being able to block those defensive ends that we've got to block on Saturdays. Again, like we said earlier, just got to hone in on the techniques, make sure we're in our insteps, and we'll be successful in that part of it. And that will make him a complete tight end, and get ready for whatever he wants to do in the future.
Speaking of the blocking, how are you guys meshing with the offensive line? There's been a lot of changes on the line just coming in.
For us, man, we've always been, for me, I've always been very close with our own line coach. Me and Coach Thornton, man, we hit it off when he got hired here. I love, the things that they do up front. We've got to marry together, and all the blocking schemes when we got to combo with his guys when we're on our own. The footwork's got to be the same. So all the terminology we got to, but the relationship with us and his guys, man, so far has been awesome. We're communicating out there. We're working our double teams. But that's the most important part in the run game, is to make sure that we marry with his guys as we go through all this stuff.
Yesterday, talking to Hugh, he was saying that it wouldn't be an issue bringing offensive linemen from different places together, because everybody has different terminology. How is that part of the game changing in college sports with NIL, the portal, where your position group could look very different each season?
It's very similar to the NFL. With the free agency and people moving everywhere, the terminology may be different, but the blocking scheme, the footwork may be the same. I think that's where you've got to make sure that the guys that you recruit fit the mode of your program, fit the mode of your offense, so that when they do get here, it's not really, you go from a pro-style type of run team to a spread power type of run team, where you got to make sure that the footwork all matches. The terminology may be different, but we're all speaking the same thing when we talk about techniques and footwork and all that good stuff.
How would you describe the role of tight ends in this offense?
We're the Swiss Army knife. I mean, you know, when you guys are able to watch practice, I mean, you'll see us out there flexed out, you know, running go routes, corners, digs, overs, flats. I mean, you name it, we're out there doing it. And that's where we've got to be able to, for me as a coach, find the right time to rip all that stuff, to get all that stuff in individuals. And then, you know, we'll be out there an inside run where we've got to go dig some defensive ends out. But that all comes with reps. And for us, you know, we play so fast. For our position, you know, they don't really tell us, you know, where we got to go. We just got to know by play on where we got to line up and get to moving. And we've got to be, again, head seat players. We got to operate at a fast level, and then you know, make sure that the tools that we've put in their toolbox, they pull out the right ones so we can go be successful in that play.
What do you observe with the quarterback so far?
I've been very impressed. You know, from TJ to Robbie to Holden, I think they bring a different style of their game. I mean, we ran an inside run yesterday, a zone read with Robbie, and you know, both of our tight ends came across, and we're out the gate. And so, man, we've been excited about those three guys, and you know, they've done a great job so far in the 4 practices we've done.
How have you been, your reception on the recruiting trail with the coaches that you've interacted with?
Man, it's been awesome. You know, it's you know, they've been great. They're welcoming. You know, some of them are surprised to see us in certain areas. But that's the thing with Coach Freeze, man. We're going to go find the best players in this country and show them what Auburn has to offer. This is a special place. You know, the thing that we've challenged the recruits is could just come see it. And we've got recruits all over the place that are coming. You know, we've had a couple already here. We got a couple big ones coming soon. But it's been awesome. You know, and Auburn will sell itself. We just got to get those kids on campus and build those relationships with those coaches and those champions and those players. And I think we'll be just fine where we're at.
After the last 6 years and the initial rush, the first 3 months here, has it kind of sunk in that you're back in the SEC among the big boys of the college football world?
You know what? It's funny you asked that, Brian, because I was just talking with our players about that yesterday. Just, you know, walking out there on that field and just kind of pinching yourself that you're actually coaching in this league, being able to, you know, to be there with those athletes and even with them. You know, you just got to walk out there and kind of, I was telling Micah, man, I came from Nebraska. You know, walking out there and just pinching yourself that you're playing. You're not only playing the SEC, but you're playing one of the top programs in this league. And you got to take pride in that, like Coach said, man. Take pride in the name that's in front of your jersey and playing for Auburn. But yes, Brian, man, just walking down that field and just, man, it's just so, you know, thankful and blessed that I'm able to do this.
You added Rivaldo to a room that already had some veteran tight ends in it with Luke and Tyler and Brendan and Micah.
Yep.
Redshirting last year. What are your impressions of the veterans you have in your room as well as Rivaldo?
You know, they bring a lot of different traits to what we do up front in the tight end room. You know, like Luke, you know, we know his strengths and we know what he can do. And my job as his coach is to strengthen the areas of improvement. The passing game, obviously, you know what I mean? And Tyler, same thing, very similar to a Rivaldo type player, strengthen his run game. And Brandon and he's a big body. And just continue to strengthen the areas that we need to work at. Micah is the one that you know, we can get this thing right. He's going to be special, and I'm excited about, you know, our room, and you know, I guess especially with adding Rivaldo and the guys that we've got, man, we've got a very, very talented room. We just got to make sure that, you know, when our number is called, we're there to make the plays and make the blocks that we need to make our offense roll.
It looks like during the time we were at practice, Hugh was recruiting even then. Mm-hmm. Talk to me just about, like, when you see the guy, like, doing those things.
Man, I love it. You know, Coach Freeze is a machine when it comes to this recruiting, and we love it as coaches because we go as he goes. And so we're out there, you know, in the middle of practice, FaceTiming recruits and showing them what we have to offer, showing them practice, and the recruits love it. Man, they're out there just watching practice with us and having FaceTime with the parents and understanding how we do things, and it's awesome. You know, recruiting is the lifeline of this program. And I've always said, if you're not doing it, somebody else is. And so we've got to be on top of that. And, as coach goes, we go. And it's exciting to see our head coach, passionate about recruiting and building relationship with these players and their families.
How important is it to recruit regionally when you have an area with as much talent as Alabama, Georgia, Florida, the area immediately around Auburn?
I think it's very important because you start building pipelines, especially with a lot of the connections that Auburn has to a lot of these places close by. But you'll be very shocked as we cast that net out nationally, how big of a program Auburn is. And for me, being from the islands, I mean, those guys out west and even in Hawaii, they know who Auburn is. And so for us to not cast our net there and to take advantage of those opportunities would be silly. But, it is important because, you're able to build those pipelines and relationship with people that matter around here. So.
We all know that Hugh's waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Are you up that early, and have you always been a morning guy like that, or did you have to learn on the?
It's a habit that I had to create. When we were at Liberty, we were a morning practice team, and so we were up at 4:35 and getting ready for film and getting stuff ready for our guys. So it's kind of a habit that we've created, wake up at 4:30 or 5 and get my devotion in the mornings, get my day right, get my mind right, make sure I get my notes right for my guys and send them out some notes that we got to get corrected from practice. And it just helps to get your morning and your day going and early, and it sets the tone for the whole day.
So you're going to bed early as well?
Going to bed early as well, absolutely. Trying to, unless I've got to put my son and my daughter down, but yeah. So
Schenker got such a majority of the targets in the tight end room. With him now gone, you get a sense that the other guys are like there'll be more passes to catch.
There'll be more passes to catch, and that's what I told my guys. And you know what, it's our job. We have to get our job done. And if you're not the first read in the progression, you got to make sure that when the quarterback comes back across your progression, that you're getting your job done and that you're open for when he comes back across. And so whatever play is called, if you're the primary read, go win. If you're not and he progresses back, you better win. And so however the offense is ran, we've got to do our job of making sure we get open. And the only way to do that is to run the technique the right way and see what the defense is giving you. But I do, we're out there catching a lot of balls right now, in the 4 practices. And our guys are excited. They're excited about the concepts that we're running, the routes that we're running, and it puts some people in the bind in the things that we do.
Catching balls is great and all, but they're also key in the running game. How have they bought into the approach for blocking and doing the dirty work while the ball's not coming their way?
And that's the thing with that room. They take pride in everything that we do, and the physicality part of it. If you don't have it, you got to find somebody else that can do it. And that's just the whole mindset of the room. And for us, we just got to make sure that we use the proper technique. You may not be the most talented one in that room, but you use the right technique, it'll help you go a long ways in blocking the guys that we got to block on Saturdays.
Ben, you kind of lit up talking about Micah. What excites you about his game and his potential?
Just his physicality. He plays with a lot of edge out there, and then you see somebody that big running the way he runs. It's just, I've seen this before already. Once the light goes off, once it clicks, once he sees on film, like, okay, I see exactly what you're talking about, coach. Then you've got something cooking. And so he excites me a lot, and I I tell him every day, trust the process. You'll be fine. I got to remember that he's still a redshirt freshman and not, one of these old heads in there that I've got right now. So
Auburn's had some success with players switching to or from tight end in recent years. Is there anyone on the roster you've got your eye on to maybe join the tight end room, or is there anyone on the coaching staff who's got their eye on one of your guys?
I know one that one of our coaches has their eye on in our room that would that they would like. But for us,
It's a compliment.
Yeah, it is a compliment. But for us, I think the tight end position in our offense is a tough position to learn, and there's a lot we do a lot. But right now, just looking thinking about some things, though, I think we were pretty solid where we're at with the guys that we have. And so,
What have you learned about recruiting from Hugh?
the biggest thing, well, two things: relentless and relationships. You know, it's shocking when you talk to some of these parents and how many of them are not talking to the coaches from other schools, and I think that is our winning edge. Is building those relationships with the parents, because I think sometimes they get left out of this recruiting process, or even high school coaches with the social media world. You can go straight to the kids on Twitter or Instagram, and man, just making sure that coach is a former high school coach, and he knows how important those guys are. And so just making, the thing to answer your question is just being relentless in the way that we recruit, and then just building relationships with everybody that's involved in the decision-making process.
I'm going to ask this carefully, because I don't want to come off like I'm throwing dirt on the grave, but when you talk to high school coaches and people, what are some things you're saying that are different about your staff?
I think just the intentionality that we're having with these high school coaches, and making sure that we check in with them. Is there anything that we can do on our end that we can help your program out with? Anybody we can pray for, family members, kids. So I think the most important thing to answer your question is just the intentionality with the guys that we're talking to now.
You mentioned expanding the net nationally in recruiting. Auburn's got a game in California this season. It's going to be one of a couple games in California. Little smile on your face when I mentioned that. You excited about going out west?
I am, and we got some targets out there that we're excited about, and just talking with them, and they're excited to come watch us play. There's a lot of talent everywhere, but like Coach always reminds us, man, make sure we protect our house and make sure we recruit the region. And if we have to go nationally, then we'll go do it. But that goes back to building those pipelines around this state, and especially Georgia and those places, and make sure that we take care of our backyard first.